If you've never used Zoom before, like executable. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. We're just kind of waiting for some people to log in. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and apologies for the Facebook problem. But I'm Liz Jones, the Blue Star Family's Community Solutions Operations Manager. That's a very long title. If you're joining us today via Zoom and you have a question for any of our panelists, you can ask that using our question and answer box or the chat feature, and we'll make sure that we bring them forward and get them answered. So today we're really excited to bring to you organizations that can help you achieve in the flexible work environment. We have Bree Reynolds, a senior career specialist at FlexJobs. Wave, Bree.
Hi.
We have Natalie Ryan, a senior manager for the military spouse program at Hiring Our Heroes, and Stephanie Johnson, team leader and business support specialist at Boldly, which just changed their name. They used to be Worldwide 101, so you might know them as Healer.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You are welcome. I kind of want to just start with Bree, and I'll go around and just ask you questions as far as Bree. Can you tell us about FlexJobs? What FlexJobs does?
Sure thing. Thank you for having me today. So FlexJobs is a job search service. We specialize in flexible and remote jobs. So it's sort of like a job board where you can find listings. But what makes us sort of different than traditional job boards is that every job and company on our site is screened and verified before they get posted, so that we can make sure that the flexible jobs and the remote jobs that we have on the site are professional level, they're high quality, and they don't have any scams or ads or commission only jobs or just low quality types of jobs that are really frustrating for job seekers to dig through when they're trying to find higher quality types of positions. And so just in terms of like this event in particular, we're excited because we totally recognize that military spouse unemployment is a serious problem, and not just unemployment, but underemployment too. And so like the flexible and remote types of jobs can be such a good fit for the needs of military spouses. And that's one population that we really work to serve. And so we're really excited to be here. Thanks for having us. Me.
Thanks, Bree. Stephanie, go ahead and tell us about Boldly.
So thank you for having us again. Boldly is a premium subscription staffing company with team members all over North America and Europe. We help founders and executives move their business forward by providing highly skilled remote staff that they can trust to represent their business and carry out responsible tasks, all on a simple monthly subscription. So we hire our team is made up of executive assistants, marketing and social media specialists, project managers, bookkeepers, areas like that. And, we've really found that all of these roles are really easily performed in a remote setting. And our team members, have also told us time and time and again, that they feel more productive being remote than they ever did in an office. So yeah, that's about us.
Thank you. And Natalie, you're the glue.
Yes, I'm Natalie Ryan. I work with Hiring Our Heroes, which is a function of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. I work on our milspouse program, and kind of the cornerstone of our program has been our military spouse professional networks. We have over 50 networks worldwide, and then last year we still were seeing some disconnect between our industry partners and that milspouse talent pipeline. So that's where my position comes in. I'm the program director of our military spouse economic empowerment zones. So through that, we're convening industry partners, civic partners, certainly military spouse networks, talking best practices, just working to get as many spouses hired as we can. We've also started a hiring 100K initiative that we're getting companies to sign on and pledge their commitment.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie. So beforehand, I had asked for questions from people who were signing up to view this webinar, and I actually got some. So I'm going to kind of, they're really great questions that I'm going to kind of ask you guys, your opinions, your professional opinions, and, share with us your tips, your tricks, what works, what doesn't work, and we'll go from there. what kind of positions can be flexible and virtual? So Brie, I'm gonna start with you. Flexible.
Yeah. So with flexible jobs, I mean, we see a huge variety of jobs. It's really almost any job that you can think of in a traditional setting can be done in some flexible way. But flexible is one of those terms that means pretty much anything. So it can mean flexible hours or flexible scheduling. It can mean a freelance position where you are a contractor, and so you have some flexibility over everything, you know, who you're working with, when you're working, how you're doing the work. It can mean part-time jobs, so things that don't hold you to full-time hours, but are some sort of reduced schedule. And then it can mean remote work too. I know we can talk more specifically about that, but some of the top fields that we see for flexible jobs are medical and health, education and training, computer and IT, of course, I think is one of those ones that everybody thinks of immediately. Administrative positions, sales, customer service, a lot of the stuff that Boldly is working with, accounting and finance, project management, account management. Those are kind of the big ones that we see for flexible jobs.
Thanks. And Stephanie, as far as like flexible or virtual, because they're not the same. They can be both flexible and virtual, but one job that is virtual may not be so flexible.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, you know, our team, you know, we have positions as executive assistants, you know, marketing specialists, customer service specialists, again, project managers, bookkeepers. You know, we found roles like those are just so easy to kind of integrate behind the scenes to our clients, and, you know, really can just be performed really easily in a remote setting. And as you said, can be flexible, meaning, you know, you can have, you know, structure in your day, and you have the ability to also work remotely, which, you know, we know they're not, you know, mutually exclusive sometimes, but, you know, those are the kind of positions that we hire for and we found a lot of success with.
Thanks. And Natalie, what have you seen? Since you're kind of like overseeing all of this, what do you see as far as like what kind of positions are usually available and what can you kind of look for?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that you'd be surprised the number of industries that you could work flexibly or work remotely within. Just in terms of specifically remote work, I know we partner with Amazon. They've created specific remote jobs for milspouses. If you just Google Amazon milspouse, you'll see a number of customer support, technical recruiters, fantastic opportunities there. Hilton, I know, is another great one that does these. I don't get paid for any of these endorsements, so and I'm sure I'm forgetting some that I'll be flagged on later. Just off the top of my head. And then kind of best practice for flexibility is we have a number of partners that if you work in that organization in office for a certain amount of time, then you can take your position with you when you move, which is fantastic because a lot of times your cubicle doesn't define your role. So unless you're really like a doctor, you know, you can't really operate remotely, but I think a lot of other jobs we could get creative. Oh, Bree, what do we got?
I will say we have seen remote doctor roles. It's not super common, but if you've ever, our health insurance or my health insurance company now offers like virtual doctor's visits where you actually Skype with a doctor and kind of explain your symptoms or whatever. And so we see things like that where doctors are working from home, seeing patients in that way. And it's for more basic stuff. So it's not, you know, very highly specialized sort of things, but there are some remote doctor roles. We even saw a remote neurosurgeon once where they did the surgeries on site, of course, not from home, but all of the follow-up was done at home, all of the patient calls, reviewing notes and documents and all that sort of stuff. So those hybrid situations are common too.
Yeah, thanks. You're absolutely right. I remember seeing something about like a physician assistant call this number or Skype in, and I'm like, what? What is
yeah.
this?
The whole new world.
It is. I think like as time goes on, I'm seeing more and more positions that are becoming like virtual or tele, you know, counseling. You always hear the stuff or the ads for different things. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's becoming quite an amazing. Environment. This whole flexible and virtual environment that we're working in. As far as FlexJobs, Bree, like how can FlexJobs aid in a search?
Yeah, so the main thing at FlexJobs that we try to do is make it faster and easier to find these types of jobs. So a lot of times if you're searching online, just in general, if you're looking for work from home jobs or, jobs that let you go remote or any of those kind of regular phrases, you're going to come across a lot of scams, a lot of really low quality listings, and you're just going to spend lots of time sifting through those, trying to figure out what's real and what you should apply for. So one of the things that FlexJobs does is do that whole process, that process of searching for, finding the listings on all sorts of different job search websites, employer websites, figuring out what type of flexibility they offer, because a lot of times it's not clear at first. They're, employers aren't always shouting from the rooftops that this job is remote or has a flexible schedule or whatever it might be. So trying to figure out what the actual details are, and just verify that the employer is real, that they are offering a legitimate opportunity, and that it is going to be a high quality type of position. So that's the main way that we help. And then we offer lots of support for job seekers in terms of career advice, job search advice specifically for flexible and remote jobs. So how to do resumes and cover letters and virtual interviewing and all of that sort of stuff. And I should say that Boldly, formerly Worldwide 101, is one of the bigger employers for remote jobs on our site. They offer lots of opportunities, and that's the type of employer that we would screen and say, yes, you're a legitimate employer, we want to have you here. So, but yeah, so we do all of that work in hopes that the job seeker can spend more time on really good applications, putting together their materials, and just focus on getting the job versus having to find a million job listings and spend all that time, which is the less fun part of job searching.
Yeah, that's super important, because that takes forever, trying to sift through that and then make sure that it's not a scam. And it's a relief to have an organization or a company like FlexJobs that you can kind of go to that's already vetted, and places like Boldly, where you can kind of look and know that these people who are posting these jobs aren't going to scam you.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie, so you're the glue. That's, like, HOH is the glue and puts all of this together. How do they help military spouses find flexible and virtual employment?
Absolutely. So I initially mentioned our military spouse professional networks. We actually do have a remote network, and it's on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So if you just search, I think, HOH military spouse remote, it would come up and you can join. And so anytime we just offhand get a remote opportunity, we'll be posting it in those groups, as well as, the natural networking, which is the intended purpose of those groups, certainly. And then I think just kind of in a behind the scenes effort, I think we're really just trying to promote our partners, our employer partners, that, don't be afraid. It's 2019. We can come up with these solutions. We can get a little creative here. So a lot of the advocacy piece as well.
And then Stephanie, do you have anything to add?
I do. And actually, Bree, I want to add to your point. I actually, about 3 years ago, found Boldly, which was at that time Worldwide 101, through FlexJobs.
Hey!
So,
love to hear that.
Absolutely. And, at Boldly, since we do hire in all the areas that I had mentioned before, we're constantly looking to add great people to our team, and as a military spouse myself, I would highly recommend anyone looking for a remote or virtual position to check us out. And this is a great resource for military spouses. We do require 7+ years of professional experience. So if that is something that you or someone you might know have, I definitely would recommend passing on our name and checking out our website.
Thanks, Stephanie. So I'm actually going to ask this next question that came in to you, and being that you're a military spouse, what is some of the tips that you've learned just personally kind of going forward about working virtually as a military spouse or working remotely?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, being a military spouse, the skills that we kind of obtained throughout our tenure and our experience, I have to say, your adaptability, resiliency, and problem-solving skills is a huge one, just to name a couple, will be invaluable to you in a flexible work environment. Be confident in your skills. You've definitely earned them. So, and really look for employers who value you professionally, and take note of your interests, and really who are friendly to the military community. You know, if they already accept and understand your needs, nothing will come as a surprise, and they'll already have a structure in place to support you.
Thanks. Natalie, do you have anything to add since you're kind of in that space?
Yes, and I work remotely. Our entire team right now, except our senior director, works remotely. And as an extroverted person, it's difficult at first. Certainly, it's just me and my beautiful mind map back here, and the birds outside. Some days, so it's using those kind of group tools. We use Slack. We use a number of different kind of cooperative tools. Certainly on the Google Drive, different collaboration items. It's also taking time to just kind of bolster in a little time with your teammates to learn about them. I think that one thing we really miss out on being a remote workforce, or any remote workforce, is or we could miss out on, is that personal touch. It's that, going and grab coffee and you bump into Joe, and then you get to know more about Joe and his kids and his dogs. And then you have like a personal stake in Joe's success. Whereas we don't necessarily have that organically working remotely. So it's kind of that we're trying to replicate the popping into someone's cubicle kind of rhythm of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And Bree, you're a civilian, complete civilian, straight civilian. So it's very important that we hear from you, because we kind of want to like an outsider's view in.
All right. So let's see. I totally second everything that Stephanie and Natalie said about working remotely and kind of what it's like. And I'll also add, like, when you're thinking of, and I've worked remotely too for about 9 years now, and it can be isolating at first, and often even, even this far, you really have to be proactive about getting your people fixed. But one of the things, especially when I'm working with job seekers, to think about ahead of time is, even though it's remote and flexible and that's really enticing and you want to work that way, you still have to know what you want to do for the actual work. And so employers can tell right off the bat if you are only applying because it's a remote job and you want to work remotely. And what they want to hear is, yeah, it's a remote job, but I'm really interested because it's the job that I want to do, and I have these skills that match it, and the company looks great, and all of those regular things that go into getting a job. So the first thing that I think anybody should do is really just evaluate what you actually want to do in a remote setting. And you might need a good amount of experience, like Stephanie was mentioning, with most of their jobs. So it's important to do some research, figure out a few different types of jobs that you might be good at or interested in, and then do some research to see what is available for remote jobs and flexible jobs in that field, and see what your options are from there. So it really is, coming from a place of figuring out what you want to do first, and getting to know how you connect your skills and your interests and all of that to that work. And it might be that you're coming from a career that you just want to bring remotely, and that's great. Or it might be that you are ready to jump into something totally new. We have lots of career changers that come into this too. So just doing some self-evaluation at the beginning can be really helpful. And then the only thing I would add is, for working remotely, having a quiet place to work is great. I'm not a great example of that today because I'm working from the dining room while my husband has co-opted the office upstairs. He works from home 1 day a week, so I give him the nice office space when he's home. But I know nobody else is running around the house, so it still is quiet. So just thinking about that sort of stuff, like, where would you actually do this work? How would that look on a day-to-day basis in your house? And for kids, one tip that's like just a really simple, easy tip is I put a sign on my door that has a red stop sign on one side and a green go sign on the other side. And so they know when the red stop sign is up, they are not coming into the office. And they're at school most of the day anyway, but when they're home, if I'm still finishing up some work after dinner or something like that, the red stop sign stops most of those interruptions, which is really helpful. So little things like that can help you get along and be efficient and productive.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's like that is setting you up for success right there. Like, quiet space, office space, designated space where you can do what you need to do and kind of not be bothered as far as, because the thing that I found, I've worked from home for 5 years, is that like I'm sitting here working and I'll think to myself, oh man, I really need to change that laundry. Like, I really need to, and those things you got to like kind of push them out of your mind and be like, you need to do this first. And then go do that.
Yes,
So
the laundry is suddenly very interesting when there's something on your to-do list that you want to avoid. It's like, oh, I could just fold that laundry real quick, but you got to be able to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of one of the, like, that kind of leads into like the next question that we got about like major pitfalls and what to look out for. And I think that's one of them, like setting the boundaries and being like, no, this is the time to work instead of doing something else. Do you guys feel the same way, or is there anything you'd like to add? I will start with Stephanie down here.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's definitely one of the pitfalls is that, when you have a busy family with little ones running around and, just having that professional environment, to Bree's point, is super important. I know our clients particularly appreciate when our team can do this because they feel as if it just elevates their trust level of us. And they recognize that if we're on a call, we mean business, we're in it, we're focused, and, moving them forward. But as far as other pitfalls, I have to say, working for Boldly over the last couple of years, has really given me the ability to take care of my needs of my family, but also progress professionally, in my own goals that I have, and also help support my family financially and contribute and, just make sure that we're all set. So, it's been a great opportunity for me. And I know from speaking with other milspouses on our team that they feel the same. So I can't really speak to too many pitfalls, to be honest.
Thanks. Natalie, what have you seen as far as pitfalls?
I think Bree and Stephanie, Bree especially, really touched on it just in terms of creating your space and of guarding your time, and you're being paid to work those 40 or 32 or whatever hours a week, and that's your commitment. So I think that is you can kind of fall into that and it can be tempted to do that. So I actually love that stop sign idea. I think that's fantastic. For me, everywhere we PCS, I need a room that has a door. I just need a door because I need to shut it, and that's my space. I use my calendar a lot because the other kind of challenge of not being in an office is people don't really know if I'm managing a national program. So, person X might think I'm working on their project, person Y might think I'm working on theirs because they don't see what I'm doing necessarily. So I can get pulled in a lot of different directions. So I try and mark it on my calendar of what I'm working on or what I owe people, or just to kind of manage expectations that way too.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely agree. The calendar trick is awesome. I use that all the time and I love it. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them. You can use the question and answer box or the chat feature. One thing I do want to kind of go over a little bit is just in your opinion, because I know everyone kind of feels differently about this, like the key differences between flexible work and virtual work. And this question comes up so many times, like, what's the difference between flexible work and virtual work? Aren't they the same? Can't I do both? Well, you can do both, but I kind of just want to go over that just a little bit, just because we've had that question so many times. Bree, you're up.
Okay. So the easiest way I think to explain it is that not all flexible work is virtual work, and not all virtual work is flexible work. So virtual work, which I think is sort of like the main thing people want, is to be able to work from home, take their jobs with them, if they're moving and that sort of thing. And with virtual work, sometimes it's flexible. So sometimes you have flexible hours, you set your own schedule. You can work, a little bit during the day and then maybe a little bit at night, that like split shift that a lot of parents do. But sometimes virtual work has very set schedules. The very first job that I had working remotely was like a client services type of position. And it was 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. They clocked your time when you logged in. They clocked your time when you logged out. They knew when your computer went idle. It was very inflexible, which is fine. For some people, that's a-okay. For me, even though I was doing the work and getting it done, I was uncomfortable with that level of like specificity. I like to have a little bit more flexibility. Like if I wanted to work from 8:30 to 5:30 and then do a little bit more at night or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So I guess that's the key difference, is that they're not always, you know, the same thing. And flexible work a lot of times can be freelance or part-time or have a flexible schedule, but you're in an office. So that's a key piece of it too. If you're looking for work that lets you work from home, you've got to focus on that remote piece first, and make sure that it's remote positions, and then look at the scheduling and, you know, all of that sort of stuff afterwards to see if it fits the other types of flexibility that you're looking for.
Stephanie, do you have anything to add to that question that came in?
I do. Bree, I think you said it very nicely. You know, I think flexible work is a way of working that kind of suits our needs of having that balance between both work and personal life. You know, whereas virtual work just means working anywhere remotely. So, and I know at Boldly, you know, we actually offer both. Our team is all 100% remote. And we also offer flexible scheduling to each person around their needs. And since these are employed W-2 positions, you get the flexibility, remote work feel, but with the stability of employment. So in my opinion, it's an overall win-win.
Natalie, what have you seen in the military spouse space as far as you know, flexible, virtual? Do you see a huge difference?
I do, and I think more than I think Bree and Stephanie definitely touched on the difference, but I do see a lot of the confusion, and kind of making that distinction of some people, you know, they can work, whether it's those split shifts or whether it's, you know, certain days in the office, certain days at home. A lot of that may not be necessarily identified in the job posting. So I think that that's kind of one of the takeaways we've taken to our employers is the ways that they can be more clear about that, or ways that they may you know, want to anticipate those kinds of questions in an interview. And Liz, not to take your job here, but I had a question possibly for Bree, and this is based off of you know, cases that we've seen, but for those that are doing contract work in terms of the salary, and, you know, you'll see it's like $45 an hour, and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to, like, this is going to be fantastic, but just a pitfall there of being taxed and et cetera.
Yeah. With contractor jobs, that's one of the biggest things, which is so important that Stephanie pointed out that Boldly's jobs are W-2 employee jobs. That means that it's like a regular office job in how your paycheck gets processed, that you're not handling the taxes and all that sort of stuff, that it's Boldly that would do that. And with contract or freelance jobs, the initial starting pay looks great, but it's probably adjusted to be a little bit higher because you're going to have to pay your own taxes, provide your own benefits, all of that sort of stuff, depending on what you have coming from your spouse and all of that. So, and it's more time that you also have to take just in the bookkeeping of a job like that. You have to keep your receipts and make sure you're getting paid, and maybe pay quarterly taxes depending on how, lots of specific stuff, but like how your, how much you're getting paid and how that everything is structured. So it's freelancing and contract jobs can have a lot of flexibility for them, but they also come with that added responsibility of kind of being a solo business owner. You're basically running a business when you're a freelancer, and you got to do all that fun business stuff in addition to the actual job that you're doing.
Mm-hmm. We did get a question that came in, and it's for Stephanie and Bree, but I'm going to ask Stephanie first. As far as what do you see as the average turnaround time for some of the jobs that are posted on Boldly?
Well, you will always hear back from us whether your application is accepted or not, and we really aim to get back to everyone within about 2 weeks or less. So pretty quickly.
That's awesome. Yes, and that's great that you get back to everybody too, because that's one of the things we always hear from job seekers is like, but I sent it out and I never heard anything. So for us, it really depends. We have about 55 career fields, and we do entry level through executive types of job listings. So there's a huge range for some people. And I'm not saying this is the majority of people, but we'll have people who get hired within the same week of starting to use FlexJobs. For other people, it takes several months or even longer than that. It really has such a It's so specific to your particular, the type of job you're going for, the level of career, the amount of flexibility does have something to do with it. So if you're looking for a remote job that you can take with you anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, that's a very small subset of remote jobs. Most of them have some kind of location requirement that might be by state or region of the country. So it really depends on what you're looking for. And the more specific you get, the longer it will probably take in your job search. So it's really hard to say, anywhere from weeks to months, really.
Thanks, Bree. And there was another question for you for FlexJobs. They were wanting to know if FlexJobs offers any additional support beyond the job search function. Talk about the blog.
Thank you. Yes, so there are a couple things. We have a really great blog, as Liz mentioned. We have, I think it's over 4,000 articles, something like that, related to job searching for flexible and remote jobs in particular. So lots of resume advice, interviewing advice, using social media, using LinkedIn. And then we offer free webinars that are also housed on our blog, where you can get inside looks into employers and what they're looking for and what they're hiring for. We actually have one coming up next week for EF education. They're doing teaching jobs. And online teaching jobs, I should say. So the blog is a really great resource. We also offer skills testing, both hard skills. So how well do you know Microsoft Word, and what are your accounting skills like, and like 100 different types of skills tests like that. And then soft skills like communication and collaboration and honesty and integrity and all sorts of interesting skills that are just good to talk about in the job search and kind of identify where you're strongest. And then one thing that we rolled out last year that's really popular is career coaching. So we offer discounted career coaching for our members, where you can talk to a career coach in a one-on-one session and just get all of those questions answered. They'll look at your resume, they'll help you with interviewing, they'll help you figure out what jobs you might like to do, all of that fun stuff. So that's another popular option.
Thanks. So we have another question that came in about legal work. And I kind of want to point this towards Natalie, because I feel like she's going to know that landscape a lot more than I would, or, as far as, the whole legal license, she said, basically what she said is that how much remote legal work do you see? Some of the spouses have law licenses in other places, but move for our spouses. And we know this, and we know this is a problem, and we're tackling it every single day. She said, we can't practice law. Perhaps we can contract review or the like. How much do you see of this? You're up, Natalie, because I know you know this.
I do. I know one, finally. No, I'm just kidding. So TCDI, that's Tango Charlie Delta Indigo, they have a program called the Military Spouse Managed Review. It's entirely for remote legal professionals. And you work remotely for them, and you review legal documents, and you do all those fantastic things that lawyers do. Those are remote positions, and they're based out of North Carolina, but you can work anywhere. It's a good opportunity. Another great resource for lawyers, if you aren't already, to be in the MSJDN, the Military Spouse JD Juris Doctor.
Yeah, JD Network.
Network. Fantastic resources there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, they are doing amazing things for people who are come out, follow them, see what they're doing. Well, I don't want to go too far over time, but I wanted to thank you all so much for being here. And we kind of went through all of the questions, and we got a lot of good information out of the expert panel here. Moving forward, I did want to mention this. So one of the things that Blue Star Families has done is we have free codes for FlexJobs, because FlexJobs is actually a paid service. If you are interested in receiving one, you can go to www.bluestarfam.us/FlexJobs, and I'll make sure that this link is posted too. Fill out a spouse force profile, and that's how we can verify that you are actually a military spouse, and we will email you a free FlexJobs code, so you can kind of go in there, look around, see what they have available. Stephanie over at Boldly, that's totally free. You can go to their site and check them out and kind of just poke around a little bit. Natalie, do you have any other tips that you kind of wanted to share about what HOA can do and help and provide?
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage everyone to join your local network, and certainly the remote network would be applicable. I did want to mention one final partner, which is Salesforce. So if you go to VetForce, it's just a fantastic opportunity. They'll provide a Salesforce administrator certification and all the training, and even fund the test that it would be. So if you, they say that if you can create a nice looking PowerPoint, that you could be a Salesforce administrator. So not to be too scary in terms of tech. So if you just another kind of thing for your toolkit of certifications and opportunities that they're available.
Oh, absolutely. I actually went through VetForce myself, and I never sat for the test and got certified, but I learned so much because we use Salesforce every single day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was
so
amazing.
many companies. Yeah.
Amazing program. And so many companies and other organizations use Salesforce too, or they're looking for. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. If you have any additional questions for any of the panelists, you can reach out to me at ljones@bluestarfam.org, and I will make sure that I forward them along and they will get back to you. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.